Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being a music journalism site, links are in the description down below, and we have a brand new discursive type topic, I guess you could say, and that's songs that plagued my childhood. I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. So now, I do already know that this type of segment has been done 100 times already by a range of journalists from around the world and on the web and all of that sort of great stuff. But I thought I'd give it a whirl as well, as I'm still fairly young, I'm only 19, and have lived through a slightly different generation to those aforementioned journalists. So here is a quick roundup of songs that had me gritting my teeth, rolling my eyes and yawning for suspended periods of time throughout my teenagehood. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Starting with numero uno, we have this perler of a track called One Time by Justin Bieber. Now, I've never particularly carried a disdain for Justin, and his music has never really bothered me. Although it's not my cup of tea, I can totally see why he's famous and why people like him so much. But on the flip side though, I can totally sympathise with those who struggle from boiling blood just listening to some of his earlier work. This kind of falls under that category. One Time was pretty much the track that showcased Justin Bieber to the world, and my god was it inescapable. Although Baby is far from being an excellent track, it has a certain novelty at this point, and it has catchy moments. People remember its sort of lyrical pattern and its catchy hook, I guess, but this track is just a rough time to get through. It sounds like he whines instead of singing, the lyrics are just so corny, and it just sums up what we went through in the late 2000s musically. It was a difficult time. It's just piercingly bad and sounds outdated by like 30 years, despite being only 7 years old. It's only 7 years old, that's crazy. Just a gross song to listen to, really. Moving on to number 2, we have S Club Party by S Club 7, aka the song I hate the most on this list. I will forever stand by the notion that the late 90s was the worst period for music, full stop, in my honest opinion. I know that generation likes to put their boy bands and their girl groups on a godly pedestal, but I sadly missed that hype and got the horrific aftertaste that was the early 2000s. From the age of 5, this song used to inspire me to critique music because it was just that bad. So yeah, it made me more of a sophisticated, intelligent 5-year-old because it actually sort of inspired me to look into how bad music can really be. It's a terrible, awful, garbage pop track made for school discos and cheap nostalgia. Even at the school discos, I mean, school discos used to have banging music, but when this song used to come on, I used to just take my seat at the bench at the side, you know, near the corridor, and just, you know, think about perhaps asking the secretary to call my mum to pick me up because it's just not working out. Why did we let these guys become famous again, by the way? Again, like the JB track, this song lacks catchiness and novelty and instead ages like a chicken vindaloo rather than a fine wine. Now let me do a quick soft reading of some of the lyrics in this song as well. So I'm actually going to scroll down in the article just to give you some lyrical reading. So Tina's doing her dance, John's looking for a romance, or rather romance, they've just tried to make it rhyme there. Paul's getting down on the floor, while Hannah's screaming out for more. Ooh-hoo, so that's a little bit of a hoo. Wanna see Bradley swing, wanna see Rachel do her thing. Then we got Jo, she's got the flow. That's pretty fire, really. Get ready, everybody, because here we go. S Club. There ain't no party like an S Club party. That's an original line. Gonna show you how everybody's gonna get down tonight. That's a proper girl/boy band type thing to say that. S Club, there ain't no party. You getting the point here. Gonna take you high. That's a bit of a strange lyric. Shake your body from side to side. I mean, that sounds pretty dope, right? Moving on to number 3 now, we have Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis. Now, I don't hate Leona Lewis, and her music really isn't that bad. In fact, this song isn't that bad at all. But she was the first true X Factor solo superstar. Sorry, Will Young, you don't count for this list, and you're not even up there anyway. You had your moment, it wasn't extensive, and you didn't take it by the balls. And that meant the hype around her was just unreal, really. This track was playing 24/7 on all radio stations, on every single channel and on every single commercial for around 2 years or so, and in fact it's still going on here in Britain. Yeah, I don't know about America, but Britain is still getting its piece of Leona Lewis. That chorus was actually fairly catchy until you're hearing it on an episode of Doctors after 7 years of airtime, hearing it every single day in some form of outlet. Her vocal performance is decent and the song is fairly well written, but it's just the most oversaturated Simon Cowell project to date. Unfortunately, it inspired years and years of copycats that were much, much worse than her, and let's face it, Leona hasn't had a hit in 7 years. She released this track Run, Better in Time, and A Moment Like This in 2010. That's a hell of a discography, or rather material, to release in 1 year. But she hasn't released anything that has even touched the charts or even been murmured about since, apart from that lame Christmas song called One More Sleep or something like that. Yeah, haven't heard of it. I don't really blame you. Moving on to this absolute banger, we have Flo Rida's track Right Around. Yeah, this track was the first track I ever listened to by the eloquently named Flo Rida. Such a clever play on words. It's also the song that taught me how lazy you could possibly be and still be a superstar during the early 2000s / mid 2000s. It was a bad time for music, if you couldn't already guess. It's overproduced, it's just so mundane, and it's so uninspired. Now, this song wasn't nearly as oversaturated here in the UK as these other titles on this list, but my gosh, did it leave a lasting impression. It's turned me off of listening to anything by Flo Rida ever since. Good riddance, and I couldn't care less. Coming in at number whatever this is at this point, we have Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO. Now, what happened to these guys, eh? They just sort of disappeared. I think it was because they just weren't that good. Whether it was their lame, clean rapping or just boring beats, somehow this track gathered in, or rather garnered in, 1 billion hits and is still climbing to about 1.2 billion at this point. It's repetitive, it's got the most annoying video that's like 7 minutes long, and it started this awful shuffling trend which took the kids of the UK by storm. All those memories of people playing this out of their Blackberries on the school bus just gives me nightmares to this day. They then followed it up with Sorry for Party Rocking, a single which is just like your friend pushing your grandma over your frail little grandma, sticking a hand out to help her up and then pulling it away once more. We have a bit of an alternative choice with this next one, and that's Year 3000 by Busted. When I was younger, I went through the typical classic rock stage, you know, when you start buying your first albums with your own money. You know, I picked up like Volume 4 by Black Sabbath and Wheels of Steel by Saxon, but unfortunately that was the exact same time as this American pop-punk explosion. I appreciated groups like Blink-182 and Sum 41 for what they were doing, and actually really liked the nu metal crowd as well, and yes, I was a bit of a pleb back then, but I just could not stand the British imitations we were making in that period, and Busted falls under that category. Although I think the British pop-punk scene is great right now, it's not the first time it tried to capitalise on that trend. Enter Busted at this point. A three-piece group, reminds you of anyone really there, you know, three-piece? With brightly dyed hair, I mean, any guesses yet? They had a wacky one, a mature one, and one that's always serious. Do you get it by now? Do you get one? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you could either be thinking Blink-182 or Green Day, and I wouldn't hold it against you. This song was everywhere in Britain during the early 2000s, and it led to the first coining the term opposers. The song lyrics are awful, the terrible American impersonation is so bad, the song is just so plain stupid, and again it was oversaturated to the point it made my ears bleed on a daily basis. But the reason why I hated it was it blocked a lot of great metal music that was re-emerging during that period. People felt like they were metal/punk heads for listening to Busted, and I have no idea why, but it just infuriated me for some reason when I was back in my little plebby stage, and I was turned off the group for life. They're releasing music again now, yeah, I'm still turned away from them. So basically their fan base was toxic and it just grew hatred inside of me, so sorry Busted. The next one is One Thing by One Direction, and it's just a crap version of I Want It That Way, isn't it really? The next track is Starships by Nicki Minaj. Now, I will forever be unable to call Nicki Minaj a music artist because she isn't. She's an actress with auto-tune. She's whiny, she portrays herself very poorly, her music is rubbish, she relies on the worst sounding auto-tune, and her rapping is just unbearable. This whole persona thing isn't original, people have done it before, and each persona sounds the same anyway, but Starships really took the cake for me. It's just so basic and made for cheap entertainment. It came across as the dance moms of music during that period. Again, it was oversaturated, yada yada yada, but the chorus is just so grating, and it solidified Nicki as an A-star celebrity but a C-list music artist. My final choice for this list comes a bit out of left field, and it's I Like It by Enrique Iglesias, but I actually really love this song now. It's so good. It has the novelty factor, which I was talking about earlier, and it's just in that so bad it's good category, which everybody likes to talk about. It's by far the worst thing that Enrique Iglesias has ever produced, and that's why it's the best thing he has ever released. The reason why it plagued my childhood, however, because it came across like a bit of a mosquito alarm. I was yet to have mature enough eardrums to even register what the heck that vocal hook was, was. I think it was just out of my registry, and now I can only appreciate how bad it really is, but I can appreciate it in a respectful manner. So what a time to be alive, really. So what did you think of all these picks? Do you have any which you really struggled to get through when you were like a teenager growing up or a kid? I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. If you would like me to do another one of these, then please say, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.